All right, guys. Now, I'm not going to tell you that I am a master at League of Legends. All right. What I'm going to tell you is that I like testing stuff and I like doing things that are outside the box that no one else does. Now, in my time of League of Legends, I have managed to climb up to a fairly high elo in top lane and mid lane. I'm competent at jungle, but not very great at jungle. I can get it done with Hecarim or Rengar, stuff like that. ADC, I only played Draven and a little bit of Jhin. So I can play ADC, but I prefer not to. But support was the role that I kind of always was like, how do you climb as a support? You know, and besides making it to where you would run like an AP carry bot lane like Xerath or Zyra, those kind of really strong supports. It seemed like if your team was falling behind, you kind of just fell off, you know? Like even my Thresh build, I would play Thresh and I would run off and I would try and get Moby boots and stuff and I would try to help three different lanes and it just wouldn't work, all right? Um I'm going to throw Bard in here as well. So, we're going to show y'all four builds that I'm using that I've built from the ground up for my own personal use that seem to be working really, really well. And we're going to, I guess, start off with the Bard, even though it's the last one. So, Bard is a champion that I think Bard is possibly the strongest, highest skill gap support that you could play. Now, not the strongest necessarily in terms of raw damage and all that, but Bard is a champion that nobody really plays, I think, how he should be played. He has a lot of mobility. He's able to collect chimes. He has mana regen. He's able to get his own experience without needing to be in lane from the ADC, which can give your ADC more experience if you roam at the right times. Bard also, like a lot of the things with these supports that I'm going to show you today, is that they fall off later into the game. Like you can be a really good support early, but say that you're losing the game and even though you've built support, you're not able to win the game anymore. You have nothing besides supporting your teammates that can win. You're relying on them. So we're going to fix that and make it to where you can change. So Bard can roam early, okay? There's two rune pages that I'm going to show you to use with Bard. One of them has Ari Spirit. I would prefer to use Ari Spirit with team comps that understand what Bard is trying to do, specifically because it gives you 30 to 40 extra shield per shrine at the very beginning of the game, which could potentially be way more powerful early than Guardian. But why Guardian Bard? Okay? Guardian Bard works because it's, hear me out, because when you use your W, it's going to proc Guardian. Guardian also gains a lot of strength as the game progresses. Also, with Bard, a lot of people are using the item that I'm using on Braum, the Radiant Virtue. I don't think that Bard should use the Radiant Virtue. It is nice that you're able to ult people and heal your team, but this just doesn't seem very great. Also, generally with Bards, you need to have low ult cooldown to get more value out of your ult early. But however, I'm thinking if you're playing a Bard, you need to be more aware of the map than any other support. You need to be more mobile than any other support. You need to be helping your team more than any other support. So for the Bard build, let me just think real quick. We were doing should be Moonstone Renewer early game. Now, why would you use this on Bard? Well, 40 ability power, 200 health, 20 ability haste, 100 base mana regen. But When affecting champions with attacks or abilities in combat, restore health to the most wounded nearby ally champion. Each second spent in combat with champions increases your heal and shield power. So, and then grant all other legendary items an increase to Starlight Grace's heal. So this is an interesting thing with Bard because how you want to play Bard, and I know this is off meta, max W first. So when you go into lane, you can either put, one shrine top lane, two mid lane, or two top lane, one mid lane, or all three in one lane. So identify the lane that has the most potential to lose or needs the most assistance, or a lane that you want to help get ahead really, really easily. That's up to you. You put down 3 shrines, level 1, and then you're going to go back to base. You're going to put down a ward, put down 3 shrines, go back to base, get the sweeper, and then you're going to go to lane. And you're going to use your W on your ADC manually until those shrines in the other lanes disappear. Your goal is to be able to free yourself up to collect shrines to drop healing shrines in other people's lanes and then go to bot lane. Bard is the only support that I know of besides like Shiraka alt that can heal 2 lanes simultaneously. He can support 2 lanes by himself in game. So Moonstone Renewer gives us like 20% extra heal and extra ability power. So this works really good with your W. And then what you want to do is go W level 1, Q level 2, level 3 you put another point in W before you get your E. Now the main reason for this is that your E is useful. It's going to help you protect your bot lane a whole lot. But when you put the second point in W, so the way we have the ruins set up, you're going to get 160 to 200-ish HP off of 3 shrines in 1 lane. So you're basically giving someone an extra potion at the very beginning of the game. And then when you hit level 3, those shrines will go up to like 100 apiece. So you're going up to like 300 XP. So you're giving them 2 XP pots for level 3. So most people, when you play in the game and they see the bard shrines, they'll use them level 1 and they'll get that 1 free potion, which in an emergency is okay, but they should wait for level 3 because then they basically double their total potions for free at the beginning of game, as well as you are able to double up their potions again when they go back to lane, which is again it's saving them more gold. So because 300 XP, that's 100 gold. So with Bard, you got to think of him as a value support. He's giving 100 gold of value to another lane as you're playing. His Q, you can level up second to increase the stun duration if you want, or if you want to roam more with your jungler or something, you start maxing E. The main thing is that your jungler can use your portal to help set up more ganks and stuff. You can also use it to safely go into enemy jungles and ward, and things like that. But Moonstone Renewer gives you a lot of potential healing here, 20% on top of that. And then as you collect your meeps in the game, your auto attacks become more empowered and they're considered abilities and auto attacks. They also do AoE slows, so in team fights you're going to be able to do AoE on everybody. With Guardian, use Fawn of Life. So basically, when your meeps are AoE slowing, you're going to be proccing Fawn of Life on all of the enemy team, which will then heal all of your allies for even more, as well as make yourself a little bit beefier with the Guardian tree, which Bard has an issue with because he's so weak. And then you're getting the 20% bonus to Fawn of Life and all of your other healing and even your shields from Guardian and stuff the longer that you're able to fight in game. Second item, and then when your meeps get strong, Bard can be a really good split pushing champion. And this is the theme I want to show you for all of these champions, is that you can progress into a split pushing type champion towards the end of the day. Bard isn't the best at it, but he is able to move very quickly through the map, fix side lanes or prepare side lanes before dragon fights or something like that, and then rotate back to the fights really quickly. I also, on Bard, I either go Ignite Ghost or I go Heal Ghost, because Heal allows you to get the benefit from your healing items, and also boosting up heal later into the game, which is really strong because heal can heal for like 300, and then with all the items you can get like a 50% more, so you can possibly get like 450 health or something off of that, which I think is better. And you don't really have as much kill potential early anyway, so you're more about healing. But if you want to, you can go ignite. That's up to you. Second item was Redemption, I believe. It's been a couple days since I played it. This, again, because it's giving you the 16% to heal and shield power. It's giving you more HP, which helps keep you alive. It also increases your Font of Life healing. And then on top of that, you're getting the AoE that you can use on your teammates and heal them for a big portion of their life. And you also go for the increased healing and shields to allies below 40% in the resolve tree as well. So that's really good. Um, I think most of the items for him after this point are kind of situational to what you need, because you can still go um, and get more heal and shield items. There's one that I recommend actually. It's not ability haste, should be ability power. I think so. Staff of Flowing Water. So this gives you 50 ability power, which is going to help you increase your healing on your shrines as well as some of your damage. You get 8 healing and shield power. You get base mana regen, which helps you heal more. And then healing and shielding another ally grants you both ability power and ability haste, which, you could easily argue that you want to go and use the other one that increases your attack speed, and that's fine. If you want extra damage, you can go for that. But this is specifically giving you more ability power, which is going to give you more heals, and it's giving you ability haste, which is going to give you more healing and more stuns, and that's what's important here. The rest of this is kind of situational because you are Bard, so you can go and do, I would say, this Chemtech Putrefier is one that I would do because it gives you Grievous Wound for yourself, and then healing or shielding an ally champion. It helps enhances both of you, giving you both 40% Grievous. And with Bard Shrines, before a team fight, technically you're able to put down 3 shrines and manually target a 4th shrine. So you could easily put Grievous Wound on all of your allies, as well as being able to apply Grievous Wound AoE with your meeps. So that's also really good. The other one is like any of these items here that give you shield and heal power. This one gives you attack speed and stuff. The one I would do is the one that removes crowd control, or you could go like Zonia's if you wanted a little bit extra survivability. You could go uh, Demonic Embrace if you want to do a little bit more burn, but I wouldn't really care about the damage at that point. You could go Guardian Angel to help you survive if you wanted to, but I'd say the crowd control removal one is the best. It also gives you an additional heal. I just don't recall the name off the top of my head. It's it's a support item that I don't. Yeah, the bell. So this gives you another 16 heal and shield power, magic resist, 15 ability haste, regen, restore health, and remove all crowd control debuffs except knockbuffs and suppression for an allied champion. So that's really good. Or you could go Knight's Vow if you wanted to. Um, it's not really that big of a deal. But what this does is that you have with Bard specifically, you need to play around your ult very carefully, and I will go and kind of look at ruin pages real quick. So We go to ruins. So this is the Bard page. You would go Moby Boots with Bard because it gives you the most movement speed, the most gank potential. We also go Relentless Hunter. You can, so say if you went uh, Sorcery and you got the Ari Spirit, um, you can go with Water Walking and the one that increases your movement speed by 7%. Those are both really good things that you could do if you want to go Ari Spirit early. But when you go Ari Spirit, you're going to be losing out on Guardian. Um, but what I would do if you go Sorcery, take Resolve secondary, and then take Fawn of Life and Revitalize, and that will give you more total shieldage for all of your teammates, and also a little bit more poke damage early for laning phase with that. And the Water Walking and the other one, um, it gives you the 7%. Even the one with the 7% by itself, it's going to kind of equal the same amount of movement speed as Relentless Hunter would give you. But you need the Relentless Hunter, specifically, one, it's going to help you get shrines faster, which gives you more XP, gives you more movement speed because you get more shrines, gives you more mana, gives you more damage with meeps, and as well as gives you the ability to roam around the map and get rid of wards. Now, with Bard, you want to use the sweeper to get the wards because you're getting bonus XP from your meeps, and then the sweeper gives you bonus XP and gold from the wards. So that is a very important part of Bard. You need to be getting rid of all of the wards that you can as quickly as possible, as well as put down shrines for your teammates. The other benefit with Relentless Hunter that I have found is, especially mid game or later on, Moby Boots takes a while to reactivate after you take damage. Relentless Hunter seems to take effect a little bit quicker, like 2 seconds or something faster than Moby Boots. So a lot of times with Bard, if you only have Moby Boots and you get hit, you're not able to escape because you can't move fast enough. With Relentless Hunter, there's a lot of times that I'm able to, say, go through a portal and then start running, and Relentless Hunter will pick up the pace for me, and it gives me just enough time to get away from someone before they're able to hit me and then make my Moby Boots reset. And then when the Moby Boots start activating again, you're pretty much home free. No one's really going to catch you for the most part. So that's the big one. Guardian Shield, not as strong early as Ari, but later into the game, this will be stronger than Ari. So I'm not really opposed to using Guardian on this guy. It also helps you a lot in lane, especially when you don't have a lot of shrines to necessarily put to use. Fawn of Life gives you quite a bit of healing here. We're building quite a bit of HP in the build as well. Um, and then we're getting the 50% or 60% extra healing that we get. You can get more than that by the end of the game. And then you can get another, 10 to 40% here. Now, what I will say is that games against, say, like a Senna, I've been able to do more damage and also more than double the healing of a Senna bot lane with this build and Bard. Just the healing, not even counting the shielding. Um, so overall, I think it's very good. You also have the utility of Bard's ult. Now, what I will say is that when Bard gets level 6 in lane, that is the most vital time that you need to take point on what your team is doing, because you can use his ult to turret dive, you can use his ult to pick off bot lane, you can use his ult to save somebody, but the big one is Herald. Bard is the only support that can counter Herald effectively. So, and by the time you get level 6, Harold's going to probably be on the map or taken, right? So when you see that that happens, you need to be ready with your Bard to ghost or whatever you have to do to fly over to those turrets and ult them so that the Herald doesn't get any passive gold. So that is the big key point with Bard. That is the biggest point with Bard. I know that people say that he needs, more ultimates, and you could take Ultimate Hunter, but Ultimate Hunter, I don't think really matters compared to Relentless Hunter, because the sheer power that you get from Relentless Hunter is really powerful. You're also going double Adaptive Force early because this is giving you another, it's like 10 or 20 healing per shrine on his W level 1. So, because his W has pretty good scaling. So this right here, like even at 10 health, that's 30 health for shrine. At 20 health, that's 60 health for 3 shrines. So this is good. It also helps you with the poke, helps with your Q damage. So that is the bard. Okay, that is the bard. Kind of a general gist of what you have to do without showing you a whole lot. Now the next one that we'll go into is, I guess we'll go into Thresh. I don't really necessarily think Thresh needs to be explained. The aftershock builds that you can do with Thresh are fine. If you want to build him tankier, those are fine. If you go for Guardian, because Thresh is a very versatile champion, you can go for Guardian, and Guardian will allow you to proc the shield and do all that lovely stuff. I will say that probably if you play Thresh, you either go for Glacial Augment on your champion into a slow build, which I'll show you here in a second, or you go Aftershock into a tankier build. So how this works, if we go back to items real quick. So Thresh build for the slow, you would have Glacial Augment. So you'd be able to say throw your Q lands, you hook them, you proc Glacial Augment, which is going to put out the freezing waves and slow them down. Then you're probably going to have, I don't remember off the top of my head the ruins, but I think it's approach velocity, or it's probably, yeah, it's approach velocity. I'm fairly sure. So you hook or whatever, you're going to get approach velocity. You're going to be able to run up to them and flay or whatever. But basically, you hook, procs glacial, keeps them in place, then they're slowed. Then you go for an auto attack, procs Iceborne Gauntlet, makes them slowed again. Okay. Then you flay, which will then give them another slow. And then at that point, you could use Turbo Cinderhulk or Randuin's Omen and proc an additional slow, which will then lead up to another hook. And this is the combo. And you also have ult that you can throw in, so you can still do hook, auto, ult, flay combo into item slow. But this is what I call the slow build for Thresh, because Thresh is a utility champion. He doesn't really have healing. He does have shields, which you can use with Guardian, but it's very situational, and it depends on if your allies know how to use it. And then you can throw your W. It's not a point and click ability, and you can miss. So there's a lot of variables there that could potentially make the build not good. And so the slow build is the best. This is also going to give you personally more defense, which when you run Glacial on Thresh, not having enough defense makes you really squishy, and that's something I don't necessarily like. So Iceborne Gauntlet will give you the 10% decreased damage to yourself for 2.5 seconds with a 1.5 second cooldown. So you're going to be able to continuously keep 10% damage negation off of you, and then Glacial is going to keep 15% damage negation off of your allies. So that works out pretty good. And then Turbo Cinderhulk is going to give you the magic resistance if you need magic resistance. And then Randuin's Omen is going to give you the reduced physical damage and crit damage if you're dealing with multiple characters like Vayne top, Yasuo mid, ADC bot, or something early. Then Warmog's armor is basically a game. So if you're ahead and you're going into a game-ending play, I think most of the tankier supports need Warmog's armor, because this allows you to turret dive and then regen your HP, and you can make a lot more use of this than most other people, because the support that's on the map longer is more experience for the support, which you can see that a lot of my games now, I'll be 2 or 3 levels ahead of enemy supports early into the game or mid game, because I stay on the map longer. You need to also learn where all of the plants are, the likelihood that there's like healing plants places. Those are things that supports need to keep track of a lot. But Warmog's really good for turret diving, really good for tanking turret shots to get those extra turrets in the game. Really good for ending the game and being able to press and then just have your teammates take the turret without any minions. So that's really good. If not, I would probably just do defense items after this. So you're probably having 2 items here. Warmogs would be the third item. and then you have boots would be your fourth item, and then you'd have two more items that you could potentially play. And at that point, you could say like magic resist. Um, you could do gargoyle, but I wouldn't be super crazy about it. Um, I would say if they're more like AP heavy, you could go. I mean, you could go Abyssal's Mask if you want to decrease the damage of increase the damage of your AP users on people. That could be pretty decent. It also gives you a little bit of healing. It's not nothing too big, but I would say Force of Nature is probably the one that I would go for if you're against like Zyra or Brand, any of those type of champions. I might even build this before uh, Warmog. So Force of Nature, really good. 2,900, so it is kind of expensive, but you're getting 350 health, 70 magic resistance, 5% movement speed, which helps you chase people down and apply your slows, as well as kite people out and pull your allies out with your lantern. So that's a really big one. But then basically immobilizing effects grant additional stacks, and then you gain magic. You taking magic damage from Indian champions grant a stack of steadfast. And when maxed, you're going to take reduced magic damage and gain increased movement speed, which is going to help you chase people down. It's going to help you survive the fight, which is very important for supports because you have the most utility on your team. You want to survive as many fights as possible. It also gives you more experience over the enemy support, which is a really big deal. That's who you're really fighting in these games is the enemy support. So you need to have more XP, more gold, more presence on the map, more ward removal, all of that stuff. So really good. Um, and then I would say Gargoyle. If they're like heavy AP, you would go like Force of Nature, Warmogs, and then maybe like a Gargoyle at the end for like an end item. Just because this grants you a shield that could potentially be like 2,000 in a shield, and then taking damage from indie champions grants stacks of bonus armor and magic resistance. It's not the best. I ain't gonna say that gargoyle is necessarily what you want to build, but that's just an option that I'm testing out right now. Um, so armor wise, Thornmail is probably a pretty big one. Or you can go Dead Man's Plate if you want to move faster, but you don't necessarily need any more slows there. But if you do Dead Man's Plate, you would run up auto attack and then hook, and then you would auto attack for the Iceborne proc, and then you would flay and stuff. So you can still use it and get the bonus damage. Randuin's you're probably already going to have. I would say Frozen Heart is probably the secondary. If they have a bunch of AD like this, you want to reduce their attack speed from enemies, as well as give yourself a bunch of armor. So I would say Frozen Heart or Fortune Nature are going to be your big ones. Then Warmogs, and then Gargoyle or something along those lines. You could also do like a Zeke's or Knight's Vow. I'd probably put Knight's Vow in there. Because in game, having your ADC or some carry survive is going to be more important than anything. And I want to stick that on the Bard build as well. Having your ADC or somebody with damage survive later is going to be more important than pretty much anything. So Warmog or Knight's Vow in game is going to be probably the best because I mean, at that point, your ADC needs to be farmed up. They should be doing damage, so you're going to get the healing benefit from this as well, which is going to be really nice. And then reducing the damage they take would also be really nice. Um, and with your defense stats, it isn't going to be nearly as bad. So there is that. Let's go back over to build or ruins. So I don't think I have it saved on here right now, but if you do a Thresh build, I would do Glacial Hex Flash if you're going Inspiration Tree, probably. So you can get an early Moby Boots to get back to lane and reposition your ally and stuff. Because since Thresh has the benefit of being able to reposition his allies, I would say that getting Moby Boots early is really beneficial. If you're not really worried about Hex Flash or you think it's cheesy, you can just go for free boots and then you'll save that 300 gold. But especially in the lower elos, I think Hex Flash on Thresh has a lot of benefit. It also has utility for your ADCs and stuff. Like if you get into a fight, you can Hex Flash over a wall and then Lantern your ally. So it has more potential use. Hex Flash on Thresh and like Bard are like two of the supports that I would recommend maybe. If you're not a big fan of it, just go free boots. But you can also use Hex Flash to, gank other lanes, to avoid wards, to escape if somebody is, say, starting to chase you or whatever in the enemy jungle. So there's a lot of benefits. You can use it in the lane to get cheeky hooks. So in the lower elos especially, I think it's very powerful. Higher elo, I just go for the free boots. And then the third one, let me go look at this real quick. Uh, Futures market can be really good. I would say biscuit delivery is potentially better higher elos, but futures market, especially in low elo, I'm not going to say use this all the time, but this is going to give you that 200 extra gold that you can get to buy something. And since you don't have the benefit of having extra gold come into the game, so right here we're getting free boots because this is on a Nautilus. I don't use Hex Flash on Nautilus. But futures market is going to give you the benefit of getting 2 or 300 gold extra early. And then when you're building Glacial, as you can see, it's a little bit more expensive than a support item. So you're going to want to have the extra futures market just to buy that early, and then it's going to help your ganking and stuff a whole lot more. So basically, you're using futures market to get the item earlier to secure the kills to get more gold, is how that's working. And so far, it works pretty good. Approach velocity. If you don't go free boots, go Hex Flash. I also know that perfect timing is really useful on some supports, even though we don't really get much benefit later because you could potentially turret dive or save your shutdown gold or something here. And if you were going to try and go the gargoyle stone plate path, I mean, you could. I think it still takes this item if you could still use that. But other than that, zombie award is what I use, and I think we're doing ultimate hunter on Nautilus, but we were probably doing relentless hunter on Thresh. We're doing Relentless Hunter on Thresh compared to something like Braum having Resolve or even Bard having Resolve. Um, because it's going to give you more map mobility is basically what's happened. And I'd probably run this on Nautilus as well if I'm going to be honest. Um, I just used Ultimate Hunter on Nautilus because his ult is very powerful for ganks because it's a targeted CC. So having that early is pretty nice. But I would say Relentless Hunter is probably better. But also on this says Nautilus, but this is more of a Thresh page than anything because Nautilus and Leona and stuff I tend to use. Although he can use Glacial, I tend to just use Press the Attack on those champions because Press the Attack is really powerful on those two. But let me just change this to Thresh. All right. So Relentless Hunter is going to allow you to move faster, similar to Bard. With Thresh, though, it's because you get Relentless Hunter and Mobies, and you get your W to move your ADC around. So the faster ADC can move around, the faster they can get farm, the faster they can get items, the faster they can reposition, the faster you can move to get them out of hairy situations. So Relentless Hunter has more versatility than other things when it comes to Thresh in particular. Um, and I guess as a caveat, I can kind of show you why Nautilus and Leona are really powerful for me. All right, so with Thresh also, I would start with double AD and start with E generally to help poke in lane early, and also push the minion wave a little bit to get level 2 fast. Let's go look at so Nautilus and Leona. So why I do this with Nautilus and Leona, they are engaged champions. They are really powerful. Nautilus doesn't really need Glacial, even though it reduces the damage that enemies take or your allies take and give a slow because he has so much crowd control anyway. He doesn't need the Glacial passive. Leona and Nautilus, even though they are tankier with Aftershock and higher elos, you could probably go Aftershock, it'll be fine. But lower elos, and then you use Evening Shroud. So Leona, you use Q, auto, E, auto, and then your W will go off. And if your ADC is attacking the whole time, you're going to Q, then they're going to auto attack, get your passive damage. Then you would be autoing when they auto, and then you would E, and they would be auto attacking, which will then get your passive damage again. And then you will auto again, which will then press the attack, do a burst damage, and then your W will go off. They will auto attack again, and they'll do 8 to 12% additional damage from press the attack, and then your passive is going to be doing 8 to 12% additional damage from press the attack because it's from all sources. And then a team fight, I mean, it just means that whoever you're focusing is going to be taking more damage than anyone else on the enemy team, but it gives you additional burst in lane. It's very solid. And then with Nautilus, his combo is something like so you ideally you could just walk up to them auto W auto, but usually it's you Q hook and then you auto attack, then you press W to auto attack reset, and then you E and auto attack again. And then at that point, and you also want attack speed. So like on Nautilus, I would go Alacrity because it's going to give you more benefit from his W and also allow you to attack faster early. And then with Leona, you can still go with Alacrity to get extra damage early if you want, or you can go with Tenacity to help reduce the damage that you take later on. I don't think Last Stand increases her passive damage, but it's okay. And again, we go Zombie Ward and Ultimate Hunter on these two because Ultimate Hunter gives you more kill potential with Leona and Nautilus because they're very strong ultimates um, that can they can pick people off. They have good range, very aggressive champions. So I go Ultimate Hunter on those, even though they both can use Relentless Hunter to really good effect. Um, you can make a debate between Relentless Hunter and uh, Ultimate Hunter. And then we're not going in Genius Hunter to reduce the cooldowns on abilities or sweepers on this because um, they have Even Shroud, which is just like a passive ability. So whenever you crowd control somebody, they're going to take an additional 10% damage. And this is why with Nautilus and Leona, I go press the attack because you're getting 8 to 12% damage here. And then with the Evening Shroud, you're getting another 10% damage. So the enemy champions are taking, uh, 20 to 25% additional damage from all of your allies, which is a really powerful effect. And any support that could use press the attack effectively, that's what I would do. Because it's just really powerful. Even level 1, like with Leona, or like level 2 Leona, Q auto, E auto, it procs, they take more burst damage, and then they're taking that additional 8 to 10% damage early. So that's really strong. And then let's go back to items. Okay, so the next one is Blitzcrank. Now, Blitzcrank can make really good effect of being able to move around super fast early. He can make really good effect of being really tanky. He's able to move and move people around. The issue is if you build him this way, he doesn't really have any purpose later on into the game. He falls off, and if you're not able to get anything going with Blitzcrank, he's going to be completely useless. Now, looking at Blitzcrank's scaling, he has really good scaling. So his Q has like 120 in or 150% AP scaling. His E has 125 increased AP scaling, and his W just does a flat 1% of their max HP damage, but it gives you movement speed and auto attack speed. So when we look at Blitzcrank's abilities, we got to think like what is Blitzcrank's purpose? Well, he is able to use on hit effects with his W, so you can build him a AD if you want. Um, and I think that's still very viable. As a laner, it's probably better to build him AD than anything if you're going to put like top lane by himself. But as a support, AP seems to be better. One, it's going to, variety you up from your ADC, but the other side is that it's going to give you a lot more kill potential because you're going to be able to detonate people by yourself. Now, I will also preface this where uh, some things to note about Blitzcrank. So with this build, the first item that we're going is Rod of Ages, and you might think that's odd, but Rod of Ages is barely any more expensive than a support item. If you're playing Blitzcrank correctly, then you should be able to get Rod of Ages around the 10-minute mark. And then so at 20 minutes, your Rod of Ages will be stacked. If you get a little bit behind, it's going to take you about 15 minutes. And if you're getting a little bit ahead, it can take you a little bit less. But 10 minutes is pretty much the on point start that you want with this. 15 minutes is acceptable. 20 minutes, you're just throwing the game. But so Rod of Ages, what this does is it's going to give us more HP than all the other AP items. This also allows us to get our hands on uh, the building components of the Rod of Ages right in the center, which gives you mana back for 8% of the damage that you take, as well as heal for 15%, or not 15, heal for 15 damage or 15 health when you use an ability and stuff. So it's very, a little bit of regen for the Blitzcrank in lane, so you can spam your abilities a little bit more, and then a little bit mana because Blitzcrank has really bad mana issues. So first back, you want to take the mana crystal, and then potentially the health crystal if you're able to get your hands on that. But mana crystal, the most powerful. The other thing is that Rod of Ages, because it stacks, it's going to give you basically the same amount of HP and AP and stuff that you're going to get from another support item, but it's going to go up to 100 ability power over time, which is going to boost up your Q and your E and your ult. Gives you a lot of damage. The other thing is that, I mean, it's going to give you a lot more HP over time, which is going to make you tankier, which is what you need on Blitzcrank because his W, although it doesn't seem very effective, especially early, his W is really good for wave clearing. It's really good for pushing turrets. And I will tell you that Blitzcrank is actually one of the strongest turret pushers I have seen when you build him like this in a long time. So do not sleep on the Blitzcrank. And right now, since a lot of people don't use Blitzcrank like this, um, a lot of people just don't answer you. They just look off, and one dragon, you can take 2 or 3 turrets with Blitzcrank. It's pretty insane how fast he can take turrets. Now, how you play this is you want to rush Rod of Ages as fast as you can, and then if you're a little bit slower in the game, you probably just want to go for Rabadon's Death Cap to increase your total burst damage. It will affect your pushing a little bit. If you're doing okay and you're going to be able to push turrets, you can go straight for a Nashor's Tooth and then come back around to the Death Cap. And then at that point, you're probably going to want to get at least, the starting for Grievous if they have a lot of healing or some sort of penetration from either of these items. So if they're tankier, you can go for this. If they're not, you can go for this. And then if you want to just go for a nuke and try to kill somebody straight off, you can go for Sorcerer's Shoes. But with Blitzcrank, I go Berserker's Greaves. Now, what you're going to see is um, just with Rod of Ages stacking up, you're going to be doing, 1100 damage or something. If you go like Nashor's Tooth, you're probably going to go to like 1400, something like that. If you do a Death Cap second item, you're looking at about 2000 damage or something. So probably over 2000 damage. So, but basically with this build with Blitzcrank, what happens is your Q is going to be doing like 1000 plus damage. Your E is going to be doing like 400, 600 damage, something like that. Your ult is going to be doing like over 1000 damage on the burst ability, And then with Nashers and your alt passive, you can auto attack and do like 800 DPS to a target that you're auto attacking. The weak point of this build is that you don't have any way to um, regen. So he is basically a caster. You do not play him like most others, but he's basically a caster that can get into your face and do a lot of damage. And also the combo with this is like most Blitzcranks, they grab and then they detonate. Early into the game, you want to grab, knock them up, hit W, auto attack them, and then detonate a little bit afterwards. That way you can get a couple hundred extra damage proc, and you don't necessarily have to waste your ult if you don't need to. But later into the game, Blitzcrank's ult goes down to like 16 seconds, and one ultimate can basically clear a whole wave of minions. And so this is where Blitzcrank's power really comes in because he has his W where he can go like 90% movement speed and get like 80% attack speed. And then on top of that, you're going to be able to basically, you can just hit W and clear a whole minion wave out just with one W, which is really mana cheap. But later into the game, you're just gonna be able to go around, hit your ult, boom, clear the wave, push, and then if somebody say is going to dragon or whatever, and you go topside, you can literally push two turrets before they can even finish the dragon usually. So it's really really powerful. You're going to be doing a few hundred damage per hit with Nashor's Tooth. It's really insane how effective this is. Also, with Rod of Ages, if you don't die and you stay on the map, this gives you an additional level. And so when I'm playing Blitzcrank, I'm usually ending up about, you know, three I probably, 2, 3 to 4 levels ahead of the NEC support. Generally, I'm the same level as somebody else who's on my team that's really fed, or I'm just a higher level than everyone on my team in general. So Rod of Ages can be really powerful here. It gives you a little bit more sustain with the Blitzcrank, and a lot of mana, like really early, just mana here into an item that's actually useful for him. And then you're going to be able to basically delete any squishy character. The ADC is dead here. Um, the like Yasuos and stuff, if they're not able to fight back quick enough, they're gonna die. This also turns Blitzcrank into an assassin, so once you get like Rod of Ages and a death cap and you're somewhat on par with the enemy team, you could say split push bot and then hide in a bush and then just wait for an ADC or something to show up, and then if they do, you just instant delete them and they can't really do much about it. So it makes Blitzcrank an early game threat, a mid game threat, and a late game threat, and even like a game ending turret pusher kind of threat. Like faster than Azir, potentially faster than Trinomir. I don't really know, but really strong. Then we need to go to the ruins. All right, so let's find. So this is the Blitz Rod Rush. Now, you're going to go first strike. I haven't seen any Blitzcranks run first strike, but what happens here is that first strike is giving you the 10% increased damage or whatever on your combo. But what happens is you're going to go Ignite Ghost. I like Ghost on a lot of supports in general if they have utility with it. I haven't gotten around to using it on Thresh or anything like that yet, but Braum, I use Ghost Flash because it's giving you kill potential with 2 spells early. So with Braum, you're able to kind of run people down with Ghost, and then you're able to run them down with Flash or reposition with Flash. So with your jungler, I think those are really powerful, as well as in team fights, since Ghost resets when you kill on a support in particular, you're able to use it to chase people down at the end of the fight or reposition to help your teammates kite people out. So even like Thresh, you could ghost and then use your W to lantern somebody out because your boot's deactivated. You can use the ghost to move around a little bit. So anyway, but first strike with Blitzcrank, while it's really good, early game you're not going to get much gold out of this. All right, so you're going to be getting I don't know, like 10, 10 gold, 19 gold, something like that in the first, few fights. But if you win your lane, you're going to be getting like, 40 gold or something off a triumph. So 2 kills, you're getting 40 gold here, and you'll potentially get 50 gold here, which will pay for the futures market buy, which will help you pay for, because it's like 200, 300 gold extra that you're going to get. It'll help you pay for the Rod of Ages and keep it on par with a support item. And at that point, your mana issues are basically going to be completely fixed, and your health is going to be increasing. And as long as you don't die and you stay on par in your lane, you're going to outscale them just with pure stats for your ADC or your the enemy support. And then you do free boots because it's going to give you another 300 gold. Blitzcrank doesn't really need Hex Flash because he has his W. Um, so with Blitzcrank, what you want to do is max your W first. It costs the least amount of mana for the most part. It gives you the most utility to escape ganks, to catch people off guard when they come forward, chase them down, as well as auto attack. Fairly quickly. A lot of people, his auto attack is a base rate of 1% of the enemy health. So the faster you auto attack, the more damage you're going to get from your W. And so a lot of Blitzcranks don't max W, but it helps you catch people really easy. It also means you don't have to rely on your hook. You can press W and then go up and auto attack E them, and then hook them afterwards, and then just keep auto attacking with W and get as much damage as you can as possible. So I think that's really strong with Blitzcrank, and not a lot of people use it. But First Strike works because when you use Q, it procs, and you have like 0.25 seconds or whatever here, and it doesn't sound like much. But if you Q, it procs it, and you ignite, E, Alt, or auto attack them. So basically, you Q, it procs, you ignite, you E, and then you're Wing and you're auto attacking, and then you end with an alt. And so all of those you can get off in the duration that First Strike is on. And so once you get Rod of Ages and your second item going, you could potentially get like, you know, a couple hundred gold, 1,000 gold from one of these. If you do it correctly, like usually I get like, 200 gold for a kill with Blitzcrank, which is pretty insane, like when you think about it, because basically if you hook somebody, you're getting the kill gold and then you're getting, potentially shutdown gold, but you're getting, 200 gold on top of that, 200, 300 gold just from like the first strike sometimes. And then if you get everything off quickly enough and you kill somebody, you could potentially get like 1,000 gold at some point. I think I've managed to do it once, but the and also because Blitzcrank is a melee champion, he's going to get 100% of the gold compared to 70% for a ranged champion. So when you're comparing this to like Thresh or something, Blitzcrank gets a lot more benefit from this. It also increases his total burst damage. It increases his DPS. It increases his gold, which then increases the amount of money that he has for his more expensive items like Death Cap. So this right here is something that can really fuel Blitzcrank's mid to late game power spike. Also with this, I've tried Last Stand. Doesn't really make that much of a difference, especially early. Cut down's not a big deal. The main important thing here is that you need to survive and you need as much gold as possible to hit your power spikes. And the attack speed is the main thing here. You're not really caring about killing champions. You want to kill turrets, and turrets you need attack speed. So we got attack speed ruin, attack speed trait, and then we have maxing W first on Blitzcrank, and then you max Q second on Blitzcrank, and then you max the E and the alt. Okay, that's what you want to do. And this gives you a lot of movement speed, a lot of sticking potential. And then we have Cosmic Insight. Um, Not necessarily because the item haste doesn't really help us much, but the Cosmic Insight reduces Ghost's cooldown to 177 seconds, which is on par with Ignite, just a little bit slower than Ignite, and it's way faster than 211 seconds. So just doing that, it's going to give you a lot more ability to roam around the map with Ghost. And if I did Ghost on Braum or something, I think Approach Velocity is better on Braum because I can use this whenever I want, but like Thresh or anything like that, would make Cosmic Insight a lot more powerful, just because roaming. And also supports can use Ghost to, say, get to lanes faster, um, catch people off guard, roam across the map. So there's a lot of utility for Ghost with junglers and supports. But that is the gist of Blitzcrank. It gives him pretty much a really good early game spike. You can also use this extra gold on wards and stuff so he doesn't fall behind and helps your teammates, or you can catch people with wardage. So he can make a lot of benefit of the gold. Um, so basically, normal Blitzcrank early, then you got to kind of play him as a caster, and then later on, you can kind of use his HP as a battle mage. So you're still going to get your burst combo off, but you're not going to die nearly as fast, and you're going to be able to beat the hell out of somebody pretty early. And then the fact that your ultimate can do like, 1400 damage or something late game is really big. It can really turn the tide of a team fight, as well as break people's shields, like Morgana shield. Um, you know, and as well as delete an enemy ADC. Like if you hook somebody, if you hook an ADC, I mean they're pretty much dead. You don't even need to ult. And then you're talking about an ultimate that can do like 1400 damage plus AoE on Blitzcrank, which in a team fight that's over 5000 damage just with one ult. So, and then later into the game it goes to a 16-second cooldown. So you can just get into little sporadic fights and you're gonna win. It's pretty insane. All right. So last one, it was Braum, I believe. So this is the one that we just worked on and put together. It is something I haven't seen anyone do with Braum. I think it is potentially the strongest Braum build, and it goes with Braum pretty nicely. So Guardian, people say that Guardian is the way to go with Braum for the most part. I've used Guardian for a long time. I think Guardian's really nice, and I really like the Guardian Locket combo in the past. But for right now, this is what I'm thinking, okay? If this item, I don't know if it's necessarily better or not, but you have a debate between um, Valiant Virtue and Locket, is what I'm looking at with Braum. Because Valiant Virtue, you're getting more HP, you're getting similar defense stats, and you're getting ability haste. And then Locket, uh, see, Locket, you're getting a little bit, well, you're getting the same defense stats, ability haste, you're getting 200 less health, but you're also spending 500 less gold. And then you're also giving grant nearby champions armor and magic resist. So I think Locket is fine for Braum, but currently I'm using this other one. What we're doing with Braum that most other Brahms aren't doing is we're doing a W max. The W max gives you a flat amount of armor. I think it's up to like, 60 or something for Braum and like 30 or something for your ADC, or it's up to like 30% of your armor value. Um, how this works though is it gives you more W's to reposition to your allies faster, quicker, easier, and also spread around bonus flat armor and magic resist buffs, which are going to help your ADC survive early and stuff. It's basically like a defense heal for your ally, and a lot of people aren't using Braum that way. But if you're going to max and you're going to use his W at any point in the game, it needs to be early. The other thing is that why do you play Braum? You're not playing Braum for his damage, okay? He can do damage, but his Q scales off health, his ult scales off AP. So whatever you put into it's just not going to be super efficient. Uh, so max W first, then you max E second, because those give you the most defense stats to stay alive, and then it gives you the most movement speed with Braum to catch people out and also help your ADC and also move across the map because you're getting at least a 10% movement buff at the beginning. And then it goes up to a 55% damage decrease, which is going to make you even tankier. So you don't even really necessarily need the armor and defense stats, but you're going to be building them anyway. And then the flat armor and magic resistance is going to give a huge buff to your ADC early that most people just don't recognize because it's going to be big. All right. And that it's just the reduction that you and your ADC are going to be taking a lot less damage early is pretty big. Now, when you look at Locket, I'm split on this because Locket allows you to have you grant other legendary items magic resist, armor and magic resist, and then you grant nearby ally champions armor and magic resist. I think that's a very strong ability, and it would work a lot better with Brahm's W. The reason that I'm kind of iffy on this and I'm kind of looking at Radiant Virtue is one, you're getting 200 more health early, which is going to allow you to. I mean, they have similar build paths too. Radiant Virtue has like one additional ruby crystal on it, basically. But you're getting 200 extra health here. You're getting the same defense and ability haste stats. It gives you more shields. And more shields means more damage reduction for you, more likely for you to survive, more damage reduction for your team. Um, and then upon casting your ultimate, you transcend, so you increase your max health by 10% for 9 seconds. Building this item first, you're already getting 200 extra HP than Locket would be. Then when you ult, you're getting another 350 HP off of that. And then um, you and allies within 1200 range of you gain 20 non-ultimate ability haste and heal for 2% of your max health every 3 seconds, and increase by up to 100% based on that champion's missing health. So how this is working right now is that um, one, it's giving you and your allies non 20 non-ultimate ability haste. So Locket, you're only getting the 20 ability haste. With this, you're getting 20 plus another 20 when you ult, which means you're going to be able to recharge your E faster to get another E off in a team fight. And with Braum, that means that you're going to be able to block a whole lot more projectiles. So and reduce a lot more damage. So I would say if the enemy team has a lot of projectiles, go with Radiant Virtue. If the enemy team has a lot of melee damage or something like that, I would go with Locket because it's going to give them more flat defense buffs. Okay, but Radiant Virtue is going to give you a lot more HP because it also heals you and your allies, and healing you heals for like 300 and something generally when you first build the item. So you're getting an additional 200 HP off the item itself, then you're getting another 350 and something, so you're looking at 550 just off of those items right there, and then you're getting a heal for another 300 and something. So you're probably looking at about 900 extra life here compared to a Locket on a Braum that if he survives, he can tank more damage for his team. And then straight into secondary item for Braum is Warmog's Armor. The reason I'm doing this is one, it's allowing you to close games early. Two, it's giving you a big dose of health, which helps you survive longer in the fights and things like that. But also, since Brahm's pretty much job is to stand in front of people and take a lot of damage, Warmog's armor gives him a lot more beef so he can survive, as well as regen his HP, so it's not as punishing to take those skill shots and things for your allies. Um, but it's also a good game-ending thing here. And then we've also changed his ruins up a little bit, something that you wouldn't really expect. And I don't use Fawn of Life or anything on him because we started thinking about Braum as a champion and Fawn of Life and how he doesn't really get that much benefit from it. Like, yes, you can proc it on a few people with his ultimate, but you got 4 seconds of it. It's not that big of a deal. And then his Q is single target, so it's not really going to help a whole lot. Hey, spit that out. You don't eat springs, Missy. You ate a pin. All right. And then from Warmogs, we're going for Guardian Stoneplate, or Gargoyle Stoneplate, because this is giving you a huge dump of 60 armor and 60 magic resist and 15 ability haste. Grant a shield that decays and grow in size. So when you grow in size as Braum, that means that you could potentially block more skill shots as well as your shield getting bigger, which can block more skill shots. And then taking damage from a champion grants a stack of bonus armor and magic penetration, 5 stacks, max 5 stacks, one per champion. So I think you get like 5% bonus or something per hit there. So it's not a whole lot, but it is a bonus. And then as Braum, you're going to be getting hit by quite a few champions if they have projectiles, which will give you a huge armor and magic resist bonus here, as well as the shield being 2,000 to 3,000 shield as a third item on this list here. And then for fourth item, we're looking at Knight's Vow because you designate an ally and it's basically reducing their damage by 10%, and then you're going to be healing off of the damage that they deal. So towards the end of the game, I definitely putting Knight's Vow on my ADC or whoever's the win con there, and then boots. If your ADC is doing bad early, you can put Moby boots on and try to roam around the map and give some more pressure. Or if they're doing good and you want to stay in lane, you can get armor or magic resist boots here, and it will then beef up your character quite a lot, um, because that's going to give you a big benefit. Now I'm going to go ahead and put Locket here, um, because I'm thinking if so the next game that I play with Braum, if they don't have a lot of projectiles, I might try Locket instead. But I still don't know if it's necessarily worth it, because this is going to give you an ally as a shield. You're getting the flat damage bonuses early, which would be nice. It's giving you a shield for like 300, I think. Um, but you're getting less personal defense. You're basically losing out on like 500 health and personal stats for Braum if you go with this. And then even more when you get Warmogs later. And then with Radiant Virtue, it heals all your allies and stuff as well as give them ability haste. Even though it's a 1200 range, I mean, 20 ability haste is pretty decent, and then they heal for 2% of your max health every 3 seconds, and you can get to Braum to like 4k or something like that. So 2% of 4,000, you're looking at, I mean, 1,000, you're looking at, so 2 per 100, 1,000, you're getting 20, so you're getting 80 health over 4 seconds, potentially 160 health over 4 seconds if they're low, because that's how this ability works, and it works for 9 seconds. So that's 300, 400 health to all your teammates if you heal there. But if you don't, then, you know, it's also like over time. It's a little bit hard for me to split that in my head, because there's a lot of benefit to having the extra HP. But I guess if you're doing bad, or if they don't have enough uh, projectiles or something to block, Locket would be better, because you're giving everyone the flat defense bonus. So we'll have to see between those two. But you can see there's only a couple items here. So either Locket, Radiant Virtue, you got your support item, your boots, either Mobies or defense type boots. And then Warmogs is going to give you the regen and stuff that you need to stay alive as Braum, as well as help in the game with turrets and stuff. And then Gargoyle is going to be something to make you really tanky in game, and also give you that big bonus in shieldage. And then Knight's Vow help your ADC. You can do Knight's Vow after Warmogs or Gargoyle after Warmogs. That's up to you. I don't really care. But that's, up to you. If you're doing really good, Gargoyle probably. If you're doing kind of bad, maybe Knight's Vow. Or if they're, maybe if you're doing good, you go Knight's Vow. I don't really know. But I generally haven't been able to get to the next item here. I've only been able to get to like 3, and the game ends. So usually about 30 minutes. All right, so now we go to Ruins, and we are going to go look at the Braum. So you might be thinking I'm crazy here with the Aftershock on the Braum, but after a long time discussing, as much as I like Glacial as a rune, especially for supports, and it does work, Glacial does work very, very good on Braum, and it can potentially reduce the damage your team takes, okay, as well as help you catch people. With Braum, the longer you're alive, the more damage you're going to be able to take, the more skill shots you're going to be able to block, and I get a lot more benefit with Braum the tankier I am. Now, the other thing is that when you're W maxing, you're going to get that down to like, you know, 5, 6 seconds, maybe even 4 seconds. Now, after immobilizing an enemy champion, increase your armor and magic resist by 35 plus 80% of bonus resists for 2.5 seconds and then explode, dealing magic damage to nearby enemies. Now, with Braum, generally, like you're using your W and so on at the start of the fight, you kind of put your shield up and you use your Q, you hit somebody with the Q or you auto attack them, and then they're going to end up getting smacked, stunned, and then at that point, your Aftershock's going to proc, and then potentially your W is going to be back up, or you alt and then you W on somebody afterwards. But in lane, this just means that you're going to take a lot less damage, and then you're going to be able to uh, use your W and give them the 12% or whatever it was from your W that you get from your bonus armor. So it's just going to give them a massive increase of armor to your ADC. So it's basically like giving your ADC a mini aftershock when you use your W, which is really good for trades. The other thing is that this has a 20-second cooldown, where Guardian Early has a 90 to 40-second cooldown. So you're going to be able to get this off, um, at least twice as often late game, and then like 8 times as often early game if you're using this for trades. And then resistance bonus from Aftershock is capped at 80 to 150 based on level. So yeah, there's that as well. But it also makes you just take a lot less damage when you use your shield, so pretty helpful. And then the damage is 25 to 120 plus 8% of your bonus health. And what else on Braum scales from bonus health? That is his Q. And so that's another reason why I like the other item that increases your health pool by 200 more and then 300 something more, is because you're going to get more aftershock value and you're going to get more Q value from having that extra health. Even though it's 8%, if you're looking at 4,000 health, um, so every 100, so you're getting 80 per 1,000, so that's 320 or so off of this AoE, so that's pretty decent. Uh, and then we gave up Fauna Life because we weren't able to basically keep the. It's just not worth it for the most part, it seems. To have Fawn of Life, the healing's kind of negligible. You can't like guarantee that you're going to get it on, and then it isn't going to last very long for how long the cooldown is. Don't really get any benefit from Shield Bash, but with Demolisher, you get a powerful attack, and then it deals 100 plus 35% of your bonus of your max health. Bonus physical damage with a 45-second cooldown, which helps you get extra gold early to help fund your stuff with Braum. Also helps you in the game a lot quicker. The other thing is that we have tried Triumph on the secondary tree, but it doesn't generate enough gold early to really, replace boots. But also the boots and the approach velocity helps you secure kills a lot easier, because you're going to be able to get your support item quicker with your boots because you don't have to pay for the boots. And then when you hit a Q, you're going to get your approach velocity. And then we run Ghost and Flash on Braum because Ghost is going to allow you to escape, roam. It's going to allow you to chase people down in bot lane a lot easier. So if they're near your turret and your jungler's coming in, you just Ghost, you hit them with a Q, and then you get another 15% movement speed towards them, which allows you to hit the auto attacks to then stun them. And although on the other champions you would get the glacial proc afterwards, which would help slow them down even more, here you're getting the aftershock, and then you're going to be able to use your W on the jungler or whatever and give you and them both a massive dump into armor and resistances, which helps keep them alive, as well as you, and then you detonate, do a little bit of extra damage, and then you can W off again and kind of retreat. And then generally we're doing double armor, but if they have like a, Heimer or something, you can drop armor for magic resist, so that's also pretty important here. All in all, I think it's really good. We're also doing second wind because it's giving us more healing later into the game, and then we're doing unflinching. Potentially we could do overgrowth here. We were doing Revitalize because of the healing and shield power before, but it's just not worth it on Braum. And I was trying out Unflinching because the tenacity, so you can get up to like 25% tenacity like later on. But with overgrowth, if we got this, all farmed up, I mean, you're getting 3 maximum health for every 8, and then you're getting, once you've absorbed 120 monsters, you're getting an additional 3.5 max health. So if we're going off of, say, 4,000, say we're going off of 4,000 health, so we get 3 HP per 120, and that's divided by 8, and then we times that by 3, so we're getting an additional 45 off of overgrowth, which, it's kind of but it's not too bad. So then we take, 4,000, and we're going to get 3.5% of the maximum. So it's additional 140. So you're looking at an additional close to 200 health off of that, which doesn't seem like much. It's not that big of a deal. But when we are putting that against Locket compared to the other item, that's an additional 200 health off of overgrowth. Then you're getting an additional 200 health off of the item that we're getting. Then you're getting an additional 350 health early off of the item effect when you alt. So you're already at 700 and something, 700, 800, and then you're getting the additional 300 and something early healing, which is already putting you over 1,000 additional health that you could potentially have early. So this is the Braum Ruin page, and we'll play one more game potentially, but I'll cut the video off here and probably post it on this. But these are the builds that I've made for supports to have them actually have very impactful roles in the ability to end and carry games in the solo queue, and probably help carry you out if you're a support player. So hope you enjoy.